Welcome to Limited Time Only.
I'm Esther.
And I'm Susie.
Limited Time Only is the podcast for anyone who feels there aren't enough hours in their life.
And each week there's a different topic for you to get your ears around.
Featuring chat, comedy sketches and interviews with interesting people.
Limited Time Only is a pick-me-up in podcast form.
The special guest later in the episode is Ben Whitehead. This week it's time for cracking chat. More cheese, Gromit.
Good morning, Susie.
Good morning. And
can
welcome.
I tell you before we start, can I tell you that yesterday I had a deep tissue massage by a man called Aaron, and I actually shouted out and called him a bastard halfway through. It hurt so much, and I was really good on the back. I was sort of like, okay, this hurts, but I've had children, it's fine. And then he got my hamstring, and he hit this knot in my hamstring, or this tightness, and I just went, oh, you bastard!
I wonder, like masseuses, how often they get called rude words.
Yeah.
Or they hear people swearing. I can just imagine how painful that was. I can just imagine.
Oh my God. Today, no one can touch my back. My back feels like
tender.
I've been beaten up. It feels
you're in a nice state for a little bit of steak. Get a little bit of steak off you. Have you got, look, I'm just going to grab something. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. Susie is in her room. She's just walking around. She's naked.
I'm not.
What the hell is that? Oh, it's a roller. Yes,
Have you got a roller?
Yes, I have got a roller.
So I use my roller, and I don't use it as much as I should. This is from Carrymore. It's coming.
Other brands are available.
Yeah, but Carrymore, if you want to sponsor us, I do really like this roller.
And we could do the money, to be honest with you.
I could do with some more. I mean, I could potentially do with Aaron.
Yes.
Hi, Aaron. But I have known for a few days I really needed to get my limbs across this, and so yesterday I did take the plunge, and I do if someone's a fly on the wall, so I'm lying on the yoga mat on the floor with this, I'm like, oh, fuck
yeah.
It's like lying on crushed glass.
It's horrendous. I mean, I've never had one before, but my shoulders, I've been struggling with my left shoulder for quite a while and I saw someone a couple of years ago and they said it's come forward. It's sort of rounded forward.
Oh God, right.
And and I can see it in my neck because my neck's sort of different. When I talk, sometimes it looks like my neck's eating my face. If I, on certain things, it's sort of like it's like a penis,
God,
I guess.
It's horrific. What? I don't know where to start to unpick that image. Unpick, unpenis it, please.
I've got a lot of swelling in my neck, which is like it's not lymphatic draining. So sometimes I see myself, and it's like my neck rises up and eats my head, which I suppose the closest comparison would be another circumcised penis.
Oh my God! Everybody,
I'm so sorry.
Esther's just compared her own neck and face to an uncircumcised penis. It's not the image I'd have gone for. It's not the comparison. I never dreamed of the day that I would hear that.
I just have an image of myself as a drawing with my face on a willy now. I'm so sorry, guys.
I don't know what time you're listening to this, people, but I apologise on behalf of my penis-headed friend.
Oh my God,
Esther, do not look anything like that.
It's just that my neck keeps sort of getting a bit lymphatic. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We've got the image. That's enough.
I can never get rid of it, to be honest.
No, that's it. You'll always just see me as a penis head.
No.
But I mean, it's brutal. I didn't expect. So my shoulders are tight, and he was a bit all around my armpits and all around this part. Oh my God, the pain! And it was all really like. It was so bad. Sorry. Oh God! I'm in physical pain. I must have a tissue somewhere. I've always got a tissue on me. I'm quite prone to a sneeze.
no. That's just added to the image.
I laugh like Muttley. I didn't know this until I started the podcast. I laugh like Muttley. And can I just apologise? Because we were getting some clips together for a podcasting competition. You can't stop crying. And I listened to some of our first episodes, and I used to film at the corner of our bedroom. And we didn't know that we'd got damp in the walls, and I used to sneeze every time. And I'm so wheezy. Do you remember I used to be so wheezy?
Because you were in such a filming in a swamp.
Toxic environment. But now we've sorted the bedroom out, and I don't sound like I'm permanently bunged up. But I was so wheezy in those first episodes.
For sneezing. Yes,
that's why I was always sneezing, because before the house was built. They built an extension on, and the three of the walls had no insulation in our bedroom, so it was. We're supposed to be talking about accents. I don't know why I've taken us down this road, and I can't stop crying. I can't stop laughing. What's happening? What's happening to me?
Okay. I'm going to pull it together.
Yes.
And
one last thing, just before we start talking about accents, I am having Emma Freud is providing me with a kitten. We're getting him soon, Pablo.
I'm so pleased for you and your family. That is brilliant. I might have to edit some of the laughing. I genuinely can't stop. I've just got the image in my head constantly. Oh no. Okay, right. Well, that is exciting, and we look forward to kitten updates. We need kitten cam.
So we've got Nancy and Button, our producers, and Pablo can just be part of, like, maybe we can...
He's a trainee, an apprentice.
Pablo is a trainee, and Pablo can be part of the team. Maybe I'll get in to put him in the logo.
Yeah, he needs on his collar. He needs to have a little, Pablo thing, and
LTO
on the other
Pablo.
side should LTO. I want everything branded.
Yes, including
my own myself.
Yes. Yes. We should get LTO tattoos.
Oh my God, that is a really good idea. Should we go together?
Shall we?
Can Ian design one? I don't think I want our heads on it.
I don't want my own face on my body.
I wouldn't mind LTO.
Well, I have got a tattoo on my back, a little tiny one, and I did dream the other night that I was with Sarah Jessica Parker, and we were getting bird tattoos on our wrist, and I was really panicking about whether I should have a bird tattoo or not. And she did it, and she regretted it. But I was like, Sarah, I've got to do this now because I'm with you, and this is one of those monumental moments in life. But I'm scared. I don't want it. Yeah, my son always says he would miss his skin if he had a tattoo, and that's how I feel about tattoos. Like, I might miss my skin, but it would be cool.
It would be cool to have
a tattoo.
I would. Well, I've already got plans to get one, but I think I don't. I worry about myself that I get a bit addicted to stuff.
Okay.
Like charity shopping.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I need to stop.
Well, I've only had one, and my son, when he said he doesn't know if he'd have a tattoo because he'd miss his skin. That's sort of how I feel about tattoos. That. Like, I want to know I can take something off. It makes me feel a bit claustrophobic.
Yeah, but I think maybe if it was something, really small, on your somewhere. Oh, sorry, somewhere that you wouldn't necessarily. You're not going to see it every day. Like, I'd probably have one on my ankle or my foot, so that in the summer it'd be like. Look at my tattoo.
Look at my tattoo.
Look at my tats.
Look at my tats and my podcast.
Look at my tats and my bunions.
And my friend who's a penis head.
And we're just good Lord. We're just walking adverts.
Yeah.
I think I need to get a
phone case and
Yeah, I'm going to get one on here. Anyway, accents. So
accents.
We're talking about accents and voices. Only 10 minutes in, because we've got Ben Whitehead. Oh God, don't!
No, sorry.
You will have to watch this, everybody, on YouTube, because it's. Yeah, I think it'll make you laugh by looking at us. I mean, it would anyway. Just look at a picture of us. Give yourself a laugh. So Ben Whitehead is our guest later in the episode, and he is a master of the voice, and he plays Wallace in the most recent Wallace and Gromit film, Vengeance Most Foul, spelt F-A-W-L. And he's brilliant at accents, brilliant at voices. So we thought we'd give him a run for his money.
Because we are that good.
First of all, I wanted to maybe talk about what voices generally, not necessarily accents, because I always find it fascinating when I'm listening to the radio. And for a start off, it's not so much now because we know what everybody looks like, don't we? Because, you know, you look on Instagram, there's Scott Mills on Radio 2, you know, you can watch it. But prior to that, you never knew what the DJs looked like. And then you'd see a picture and go, good grief, he's about 15 stone heavier than I thought he would be. Or oh my God, she's so young. Or, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
It always shocked me because you have such a clear image of what people look like. And I just don't think that kind of happens anymore, except when you're listening to maybe a phone in. And you've got, and it often happens with women, I think. And a woman will be talking, she's, you know, Doris from Maidenhead, and she's ringing in for whatever, and then and I think, oh, it probably sounds about 40, and then, how old are you, Doris? I'm 80.
Yes, yeah.
God, you don't sound. And I really then listen, and I actually do this a lot. I really listen to people's voice to try and work out how old they are, because it's I find it fascinating, because there are obviously those older voices that do that kind of a bit shaky, and that's the frailty of them. But then a lot of older people, you cannot tell.
Well, I always think of the legend that is Joanna Lumley. You know, she is 79 in May. The woman's nearly 80.
Wow. And she does sound the same as she has done.
She sounds the
whole
same.
of her life.
She looks the same. And you wouldn't know, would you? She'll be 80 next year. And
maybe the key is
as well. I'm sure she
actually
still
her
sounds
voice is
the
great.
same.
Maybe the key is, I don't know. I mean, Joanna Lumley's got quite a deep voice to begin with, hasn't she? Is that quite a good impression, or a bit shit?
You're sort of reminding me more of a royal, but
there was an essence of Joanna.
Yes, there's an essence, definitely.
Yeah, that's why I'll never be Ben Whitehead,
because he could do it, because he can do the impression.
He can do impression. He's a very good impressionist.
He is, isn't he? That was really interesting listening when we chatted with him. I mean, I used to do impressions of Margaret Thatcher when I was a little girl.
Who didn't?
Yes, but I remember being 5 and sort of going, well, you know, and like getting everybody to really laugh and being good at it. I don't know if I'm good at. I don't do impressions, but I can do accents and voices. And running the classes that I run, a lot of actors will say to me, "How do you do an accent?" I'm like, I can't tell you. I just listen and then practice, and I can do it. But I can't tell you where my tongue placement is or what's happening. I can't describe it. You'd need to go to an accent coach for that.
Yeah, I think with accents, for me, it's more about mouth. If I can, I will start with vowel sound probably, and then work. I don't know. Let's do Liverpool
Scouse. Yeah,
and it's what's my mouth doing? Because everyone's got, and it's actually coming. You know,
out.
It's out.
Going
it's
out
really quite wide.
Yeah.
For that
That's
accent.
so interesting that you do that, because I just don't consider any of those things. I just listen.
More tighter in the front. Your mouth's a lot smaller at the depends what accent you're doing, but at the front, you're pouting a bit more. I have to think in terms of mouth shape, what my lips are doing.
So interesting.
Pouts, or it's a bit wider. You gotta. It's like having a constant smile almost to do the Liverpool, and then you listen to where the sound is, and it's more at the. I mean, obviously this is generalized, but because I mean, the UK is amazing, isn't it? Because the volume, the number of different dialects within a few miles of each other is amazing. But yeah, I'm like, right, well, what's the shape of my mouth doing? And where's the sound actually coming from? Because that's right, that's going kind of nasal. But if the Scottish one's a bit more at the front of my mouth, and I can feel the sound right at the front there. That's.
I just don't think about any of those things.
You just do it naturally.
I was doing an improvisation with somebody the other day, and somebody said to me, "Can you do American?" And I said, "I can, but I can't really do New York. I'd have to work on that. But it's just a general American, or I can be, in Texas, or I can be California or something." But then the person I was working opposite, their American accent was very strange, and I didn't know where it was from, and I found it then very hard staying the accent. I'm more like, if I'm in a room with somebody, and they're talking like that, then I'll start talking like that, but I don't think about what their placement is. I'm just doing it,
Well, I think you could do an impression of Lorraine. Go on, be Lorraine.
Lorraine who?
Lorraine,
Kelly?
Scottish Lorraine, yeah.
Scottish Lorraine.
I think you've done
hello.
Before.
Well, we're back on This Morning, which is not actually my show. It's Alison Hammond's show and Cat Dealey's, but that's not Lorraine, though, is it? It's
no, well, you're quite close there. And I'm watching you are doing an impression of her movement. You're doing her.
Am I?
Because she kind of does that kind of. She's like, she does the kind of do the.
Yeah.
And I've learned. It's the sort of like head. Yeah, it's the head wobble with Lorraine.
Welcome back to Lorraine. We've got Fern Cotton on to talk about. I don't think about anything to do with placement. It's more, and like right, Scouse. I don't think about what I'm doing with my mouth. I'm just being a Scouser. You know what I mean? And it's all.
But you have got the you're the sort of. And I think that's what. It's not just about what it sounds like. Mm. It's about how it makes how you move your body and the mouth kind of goes with that in a way, doesn't it? I mean, I often will try and imagine a person who has that accent. Yes. And then go from there. I hope you can hear the birds tweeting.
I can hear the birds. It's lovely.
I've got the windows open because it's hot, but I hope it's not too loud. But there's lots of trees around, lots of nice birds. Anyway,
what's their accent, Suze?
I was going to say, what is it? Where are you from? Brighton. Okay, great. Physically, like I try and imagine, because if you look at somebody who's got an accent that you're trying to emulate, you could probably see their mouth, or if you just try and you just try and move like a bit like Lorraine, it kind of gives you that little bit of not that I'm doing a very good impression of Lorraine there, but
you are.
It is interesting how it's not just what is going on in your vocal cords. It's a lot about what's going on your face, especially like American. So American,
smiling.
I had to do one. I had to do kind of general American for a play at the Old Vic, darling.
Oh,
and
darling.
Had to have a voice coach. I know. I had to study
fabulous.
Martha Plimpton.
Oh my God, Goonies-tastic,
Goonies-tastic. And I had a voice coach for that because I thought I could do quite a reasonable American. I mean, I could do a reasonable American accent, but to nail an accent is so much more because the American. The mouth, the use of that, they use the whole of the inside, they use all that echo chamber in the mouth and really getting it. They use their mouth, they work their mouth a lot. Whereas some accents, like, I don't know if you're doing
Australian.
that or Australian, you don't really have to move it very much. But with American, you really have to move the whole mouth.
Yes,
and which is quite hard. It's hard work.
Yes,
so you
that's why they've all got great jawlines.
Yeah, actually, you're probably right. No, but that whole kind of having a bigger, bigger jaw and the resonance of it as well. But I don't actually physiology of it. That bit of it, I don't really. The vocal cordy bit and the tongue placement and all that. I think it's got to be what can I feel and what can I see rather than trying to work out what's going on actually in the mouth.
And now for the weather report, brought to you by Great British Stereotypes. We start in the distant north, Scotland, where it's the traditional 2 weeks of summer, so it's raining and the midges are out in force. Locals recommend warding them off by eating deep-fried haggis washed down with iron brew, made in Scotland from girders, and painting your face blue and white. moving south to Newcastle. No one cares what the weather's doing. It's cold, obviously, as long as the Toon Army are winning and the Newcastle Brown is on tap. Take a brolly, but dinna be seen using it, you big softy. Further down in Manchester, it's coming down in stair-rods, so make sure you're wearing your flat cap and your pigeon's got a coat on until the clouds pass and we see the sun shine. Across to the east, in Liverpool, there seem to be winds from the fab 4 points of the compass, which will quickly calm down. Everyone's outside today, so you'll never walk alone. Across into Wales, the weather is blustery but friendly, unless you're the England rugby team, in which case prepare to have your leaks blasted and your bread blown back to heaven. In the Midlands now, into the ever underestimated and ever so warm Birmingham. There are more canals than Venice, but not so much sunshine. It's all right, Bab. Your peaky blinder cap will keep the rain off your bonds. Over in the southwest, the weather is proper nice. The bunnies are drinking cider and eating flakes and antihistamine. It's combine harvester hay fever time. And finally, in the epicentre of the universe, aka London, it's grey and shouty. The skyline's amazing if you can see it through the pollution. Take refuge in one of the many theatres, but do make sure you're sitting down before they tell you how much the tickets cost. The general outlook is for rain, which will pass as all dark clouds do, allowing the sun to illuminate a beautiful island of rich variety and traditions. Talking of great British traditions, I'm off for 2 of my favourites, a roast dinner and a whinge. Goodbye.
It's so interesting because obviously you do a lot of audiobooks and you do The Archers, which is fabulous. And you do like loads of accents. So you will say to me, oh, I'm doing like a Polish accent. And I don't know if I could distinguish a Polish accent, but I can do an Eastern European accent.
Yeah.
But I have never ever considered what my mouth is doing. It's more of a mimicry, I suppose. That's what I think. Well, what are they doing? I remember years ago, I used to do this thing called Who I Am Today, and it had these characters and they'd all be sort of slightly different. And I really liked the fact that I could just completely change my appearance and disappear behind them because I'm more comfortable doing that sort of thing. Although I love doing this, actually, I'm very comfortable doing this. But characters I just loved the shape shifting. And I remember doing a character that was a really old woman who was 102, and there was a lot of lip licking and stuff. And I didn't consider it. I just thought, I'm just going to be a woman who's 102. And my husband said to me, God, you're like, how did you know to do that? Did you watch loads of videos and stuff? And how did you know to do that bit and lick your lips and sort of, it felt really authentic. And I don't know. It's weird what sort of goes in that you pick up about.
Well, you're very observant. I mean, you are a brilliant character actor because you observe people and you just take it in. I mean, in a way, it's tricky, isn't it? Because that is an inherent talent or gift that you have. That you can watch somebody, listen to somebody, and then take that into your very person and regurgitate it in a way. That sounds disgusting, but you know what I mean. You're not having to think about it because you are naturally gifted at doing that, and it is you are, and that's so it's quite hard to explain how you do it but you're doing a hell of a lot of things. You're doing a hell of a lot of things, but not having to be aware of them or conscious of them, which I'm sure that a lot of actors out there would be very jealous of.
Well, that's all incredibly kind, and I'm very grateful and 2 slightly uncomfortable, and then but also because you were talking about where you place your, when you think about. For people to think about accents, it's different, using your mouth more as Americans. That does make me understand why I can't tell people how to do it, because I'm like, I don't know, you just do it. You just become like that.
But you could, if you thought about it, you probably could. I mean, I did have to do a Polish accent for a radio drama recently, and I couldn't tell you I mean, I know quite a lot of Polish people, but the accent didn't immediately come to mind. And of course, probably more the accent we've heard from that sort of side of Europe would probably be the more kind of Russian, the on the dark L, but that is not Polish at all. No. Polish, they don't have the dark. They have the r of the R, but they don't have a sound.
Yes.
Polish. It's yeah. I don't know.
Well, actually, my window cleaner is going to pop up in front of my window in a minute, and he's
Polish,
so I could always talk to him. I'd be like, Mike, can you just say some Polish for me?
But what was so funny was that the lady I asked, as a friend of mine, a lady I asked to help me with the accent, is Polish, born and brought up in Poland, and then moved over to the UK about 10 years ago or something. I don't know, maybe a bit more. But her accent is not. You can tell she's Polish, but it's not a very strong accent. So she, in helping me, she was trying to do a stronger Polish accent. She said it keeps coming out Italian, because she was trying to remember and recreate her own accent, and it was coming out the wrong. She's not Italian.
Funny. Yeah,
it was really funny, and I was like, that's ridiculous, and kind of also makes sense as well, because just she speaks the way she speaks. But
the more you focus on how you speak and try and like, I can totally understand that.
Yes,
almost an exaggerated characterization of your own voice. I mean, I have got a list of accents here for us to.
Go on then. I mean, listeners long term will have heard us doing accents before, mostly badly. There was the classic example of trying to do. Were we doing well? No, we were doing the Big Brother house, and then and then I went Welsh.
Didn't we go Jamaican
and then we went,
as well?
I think we did go Jamaican. And I also find that fascinating, the similarities between, and the reason, because if you actually analyse it, the reason it will go Welsh is because there will be a shared mouth shape or a shared tightness or looseness, whatever, that if you is tipped too far, then it's very easy to go off. And Indian's another one, that Welsh and Indian, you could actually, I mean, I'm sure there are clever people who do this, but that can kind of do almost the whole world by just shifting, slightly. But it's great. Well, we were doing Australian the other day, and we went South Africa. Well, I went South Africa because it's just so easy to kind of
because like you say, there's a closeness,
slightly too much the wrong way.
My friend Mel, I think I probably said this before, but she would always try and do Australian, but then she'd end up going Indian. And I don't think there's a closeness between those. Is there?
Australian
and Indian. I think no.
Probably if you end up keeping your tongue too still.
Yes, I think you really get this stuff, and I don't.
It's only because I have had to do many different accents. And Scouse I could not do, and then I did it for a radio drama. And I remember there was a young Liverpudlian lad in it, boy, and his dad said to me, "Your accent's really good, And I was like, and he was like, "I thought you were from Liverpool," and I was like, "Oh my god!" I mean, that's when you really, that's when you.
I remember doing a show with the Fizzogs actually. It was a sketch show, and I had a character that was Irish and a character that was Scouse, and I came off, and this woman came up to me and went, "Are you Scouse or are you Irish?" And I said, "I'm neither." But I was like, "Thank you, that's so lovely that you thought I was one of those." That is, like you say, it's the ultimate compliment, isn't it?
You can't. There's no higher compliment than or higher validation that you've done it. You've done the accent correctly. That if somebody, I mean, my friend Alex is, in fact, she's the host of Ladies Who London podcast, which is brilliant, and it's a really terrific podcast about the history of London and the history of all sorts of bits of London, and her and her counterpart know so much, and they're so entertaining. Listen to it. But she is she's multilingual. And so she speaks Dutch. She speaks English. She speaks Dutch, Italian, French, bit of Spanish, maybe German. I can't remember. She's amazing. But she speaks French so well that French people think she's French.
Amazing.
And I think
that's the thing,
incredible. Not like me.
That is.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, Rodney. Mange tout. I mean, I do remember being in Paris once and somebody else. Oh, which arrondissement are you from? Oh,
La Rochelle.
I do remember being in Paris once, and on 2 occasions I got asked for directions. I was like, #winning at life. They think I'm a Parisian woman.
What a ghost.
What a douche.
Croissant.
Right, let's do some accents, Sue.
Okay.
So the first one, we know what this is, don't we? Because we've just done it.
Oh, well, in Liverpool, yeah.
Liverpool.
I mean, my friend Annabelle is a Scouser, and she'd probably say your accent's shit.
Yeah, she'd probably be like, "What the hell are are you doing, girls? You sound absolutely ridiculous.
The problem with accents for me is that I've kind of got to warm into them a little bit. So if I don't have a warm up and I'm just going bang into it, it depends what the accent is, but mainly
it's hard.
It's hard to just get straight into it. Yeah,
and
that's Scouse is different to other Liverpool as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and if I find that if I'm around somebody that's got that accent, I find it dead easy to go into. So the other day at my workshop, there was a Scouse there, and we were doing this scene from 2 by Jim Carstrike.
I love that play.
I was like, "Oh, Moth Stopper!" And like I was like, and then he was laughing because he was going, "That's bang on." But largely because I was next to him, so there's like you say, there's a mimicry there.
Yeah.
This one I really struggle with. I'm going to do the only line I can do in this accent, and you will see if you can guess it. Can you see my nipples?
Can you see your nipples?
Can you see my nipples? Yeah, I mean, I hope you can't because I can't do it. I hope you can't because they should be covered by my shirt. I can't do Joy. I could do it for practice.
Do you know what? I went to Newcastle University and I could never do a Geordie accent when I was at university, even though I was in the city. And my friend used to try and teach me by saying there was an advert for some crisps, and it'd be, what's it? I'd climb a mountain for a canny bag of chowder, and it was a canny bag of chowder. I'd climb a mountain, and I've got a very good friend Kay. Right, she says Kay.
Kay.
Her name's Kay, and then people will go Key, and she goes, no, it's Kay. It's my accent. People don't understand when I say. I mean, that's terrible. So sorry, Kay. That accent went.
No,
really
it's
bad.
not terrible. But say the line for me, and I'll see if I can do it.
I'd climb a mountain for a canny bag of chowder. I'd climb a mountain for a canny bag of chowder.
I'd climb a mountain for a canny bag of chowder. Not bad, but it's not good. Okay. All right, my love. Right, this one. Do you know what this one is, my darling?
That's all right, yeah.
Apples and pears.
Go down EastEnders.
EastEnders. Oh, get out my pub, you slag.
You'd be great in EastEnders.
Oh, wouldn't I I'd be like Peggy Mitchell's love child.
You should go in EastEnders.
I've been in EastEnders, love.
That's true, yeah.
I helped Sanjay find Geeta. That's going back about 20 years.
If anyone remembers that.
Yes. Although I did get a duff. It was many, many moons ago.
Oh, you got a duff.
Then, my lover.
All right, then, yeah. That's bit Bristol.
West Country. South West Country.
I find it's quite hard for me. That's more Bristolian, I think.
Is it? Because I knew that I spoke to you about Tracy. I spoke to you about Tracy Aardman, and I tried to do Tracy's accent. And you were like, "No, you're wrong."
Because she's not. No, she's not Bristol. She's not like total West Country.
Where's she from?
Well, it's Borsetshire. She's a made-up county.
Right. That's probably why I'm struggling with it.
It's kind of Worcestershire, Herefordshire. There is an element of West Country, I suppose, but Tracy's accent is also influenced by Birmingham, because they're so close to Birmingham.
Right.
So, I do find it difficult to do Tracy's accent when just out of the blue. All right, there. I'm Tracy Aardman, and I go out on a Sunday. So you can say like an I sound is more like and I've lost it now. It's ridiculous. I can't actually do the accent I do.
No, but I get it because you, like you say, you haven't got. You're just improvising, and we're doing loads of different. Accents.
It is because I have to remember it's not West Country, and that's because West Country is very like the oi sound, and that it's not like that at all.
No,
well, there's elements of it, but it's
that's
not
clever though,
and that's got to be the Brummy influence as well.
Well, to tie those two together, though, I wouldn't have a bloody clue where to start with that. Can you do? I'm sure you can. Glaswegian.
Right. Glaswegian, like I don't know actually. It's more.
What is Glaswegian like?
Well, you think about Billy Connolly's Glaswegian.
Oh, right.
It's more like Glasgow.
Well, like, what I've got here, it says strong, guttural, and fast-paced, and with rolled R's. So
Glaswegian.
Glaswegian.
Billy Connolly.
Yeah. Jimmy.
See you,
Jimmy. Like cranky.
See you, Jimmy.
See you, Jimmy.
It's yeah, I mean, there's so many different Scottish accents. The one I can do quite well is the Edinburgh. The kind of the softer, more, and because there's that, and then of course with Scottish, the Scottish, you don't have to roll actually the R's. It can be more like that. So that's kind of a softer.
So let me if I'll do a Scottish accent and you tell me where it's from. This might be completely shit now. It's most important you let me know if you'll not be able to attend.
Well, that's really good.
Where's
I'd say
from?
that's quite. That's probably Fife. That's like
Fife,
that reminds me of where my dad's from and
because I don't know. That's the accent I can do, but I don't know where it's from.
Yeah, I think you're up East Coast there probably.
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
Maybe Aberdeen. I don't. Yeah,
Aberdeen, right?
Maybe
that's where you're.
It's a nice one. It's a nice. That's a good accent. Yeah, it's gentle.
Can you do Northern Irish? Because I can do an Irish accent, but it's like my friend who's Irish. She said you sound like you're like a little like
you are the best. Life can be tough. Stay in your magic.
Oh, magic.
Magic.
Now I can say, and I've probably done this before, but my grandmother, who I never met, she died before I was born, was Northern Irish, and her sister, my Auntie Bridie, that there were like 12 of them, as there always are, and my Auntie Bridie used to go, "Oh, little Esther! Oh, hello, little Esther! It's so lovely to see you. Hello, little Esther." That's all I can do. Esther. Oh, yes. So I could do Northern if I thought about it, but I would just need a little bit. So again, it's mimicry, isn't it?
I love that accent, and it is hard. I think it is hard because the Southern and the Northern, there are some similarities, but they're also vastly different, and I think that's quite tricky. I've got some Northern Irish friends. I love their accent. If I probably if I could have another accent, I'd pick Scots to start with. And then I would go probably Northern Irish. I just think it's so... Oh, it's so chewable.
Rich, isn't it? Yes, chewable. Oh, that's great. There's a guy who comes to my workshop and he's from Aberdeen and he's got the most amazing voice. And I'm always saying to him, you need to do voiceovers. You've got a great voice. Okay, we've probably been on for ages, haven't we? What with
it's 34 minutes. It's not too bad.
Okay, so let's do Deep South.
Can we just... Oh, gosh, Deep Southern American.
Okay, so, hang on, I need to think about it. My dad's name is Patrick McWicken. I don't know. And I live on a farm with my mother and my brother and my sister. And that's more like, I don't know what the hell that is, but it's more like a character.
What was that program in the 80s?
Oh, it was Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh my God.
I like to do the kind of Tennessee Williams sort of accent. And more of a high class, refined, Great Gatsby kind of great Southern American.
Oh, super. Oh, you are a lady. Damn fine lady you are, Miss Susie Riddell.
And I will drink a little spot of whiskey.
Oh, mighty fine. Can you do New York?
Well, I was going to say New York's quite hard, isn't it?
I don't know if I can do New
York. I always start like that with the New York accent.
Oh,
the coffee. I go for a coffee and Yonkers. We always used to say that because we read Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller at school and at college, and we used to say I have a coffee at Yonkers.
I have a coffee at Yonkers. I need to work.
I lived in Brooklyn for a short time, and I've still got somewhere on my voice notes. I interviewed this amazing. I just met this woman in the street. She was wearing an amazing faux fur coat, and she had the strongest accent of anyone I've ever met in real life. And I interviewed her because I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. A proper Brooklyn accent.
Love it. I do love that accent. I'd like to be able to do it. I think I can do most accents if I work on it, but it's more a case of just listening. You could. But New York, give me a line.
I'll take the subway to Coney Island and have an ice cream.
I'll take the subway to Coney Island and have an ice cream. Oh, no,
it's pretty good.
Hello, can you do a little bit of Francais?
I can, but I do not know if this is actually the real accent of it's just hello.
Hello, the Fola Madonna with the big boobies.
I will say this only once. I work with a lot of people who are very good at doing accents. Like, very good. European, particularly. And it's quite intimidating when I have to do... I think European accents do freak me out a bit because I do think there is that cliche.
Yes,
it's easy to go cliche, but some of the people I do English language teaching with are incredible, and they can just do German, French, but they don't sound naff.
It doesn't.
They sound totally real, and I bow down before them.
Yeah, but to me, that's the importance of any piece of acting or any accent. It just has to. If I don't believe you, I'm out. I went to see a play the other day. My daughter's best friend was in a play. She was brilliant in it. It was called The Welkin, and it was her final piece at college. But there was a girl at the end, and she came on, and she was dressed head to toe in black, and she was supposed to be this very rich woman. And she didn't speak, and she had bright yellow fingernails. And I was like, I'm out. You can't have bright yellow nail polish on. You're supposed to be this fine woman. So anything like someone doesn't smoke properly and accents off, I'm out. I can't invest in you. You're supposed to be transporting me to another place. I will go with you 100%. But if something jars, I'm out.
Accents are and that's all you've got, isn't it? If you're watching a film, and sometimes you just can't get to grips with it if someone's accent's terrible.
Oh, well, I've got 2 accents left, and they are this one, which is like, "Hello, mate. How are you? Are you well? Are you right?"
I do struggle with some of the vowel sounds.
Yeah, me too.
In Australian, but I do love doing the accent. Partly because of growing up watching Neighbours and Home and Away and just wanting to be in it.
Absolutely.
And I think you sound like Kylie, don't you, when you do it?
Well, that's what you said, but I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I think I sound like Jason.
My voice. Yeah, well, I guess because we'll rewrite especially for you.
I think you did it. You did it the other day, and you sounded like Kylie.
Well, I will absolutely take that. And if I look like Kylie in 10 years, because she's 10 years older than us, then I will take that too. But I don't think I'm going in the same direction with my penis head.
No, right. Not today, maybe.
Not today. Not today.
I tell you, the one that's hard is Welsh.
Oh, yes. Do Welsh.
All right, there. I'm Susie. I'm from Wales, and I've come over. I'm trying to do a bit of Alex Jones there, I think, but I don't know. Or maybe actually Joanna Page. I think I sound a bit more like
Joanna Page. Yes, right. So let me try.
Oh, Gavin. Gavin.
Oh, Gavin. Oh, she's like quite high, isn't she? Oh, Gavin.
And it goes up and down. It goes up
and
down.
Up and down. Yeah, I need to work on it. It's there. It's somewhere in there. I like Welsh. I'd like to be able to do it. And my last one isn't an accent, but can you play a small child?
I do sometimes have to play small American children.
Do you?
Is
that for work or
work?
Just role play?
I don't know if I can really play a child properly, but if I really try and think, hi, but I don't know.
Oh, Susie.
Oh my God, Susie, I thought you were so cute and you made me feel really emotional.
So weird when little kids' voices come out.
But why do they always... it's easier for me to be shy than...
Yes.
They're really I don't know, it's quite hard to actually sound like a child. I wish I could fly right up to the sky, but I can't. You can?
It's been so much fun talking to you.
Oh my God, guys. It's been amazing.
Thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye. Tomorrow, bed. Tomorrow, bed.
And now on the LifeSap channel, it's time for something completely indifferent.
Hi, I'm Annette Curtin, and welcome to another episode of Curtain Twitcher. I'm here in Titty Ho at the Russell Sprout Centre for People with Unfortunate Names, and I'm joined by the centre's co-founders, Russell Sprout and Howdy Pratt. Russell Sprout, hello. How did the centre come about?
Annette, Howdy and I set up the centre in 2015 when social media was on the rise and people started taking the mickey out of our names online. So we set up a Facebook support group, which grew very, very quickly. Isn't that right, Howdy? Well, that's right, Russell. The demand was massive, and before we knew it, we were getting donations of money from people asking us to set up an actual centre. Isn't that right, Howdy? Oh, yes, that's right, Russell.
And who were your biggest donors?
Well, some of them are here today, actually. We got Robin Banks. Hello, Annette. And Paul Berra. Hello. Amy Stake.
Hello.
And Souffle.
All right.
Theresa Crowd.
Hi.
Zoltan Pepper.
Hi, Salt and Pepper's here.
Paige Turner.
Hello.
And then our biggest donators of all, Emma Roy
Hey up, Duck.
and Engelbert Humperdinck.
Hello.
And I love that the centre has now branched out into other self-help groups too.
We now have the Keep the Name Gary Alive Foundation and the Reclaim My Dick Society, fronted by my good friend Richard Head. And let me introduce Karen Allen from Not All Karens Are Awful, Don't Tarnish Us with the Same Brush group.
Oh, hi, Karen. What would you like to say?
Not all Karens are awful. Don't tarnish us with the same brush.
Is that right, Karen?
Yes, it is. I want to speak to your manager.
This is truly fantastic work you're doing here, Russell and Heidi. So, if you have an unusual name like Timber, Eileen Dover, or Colin, then get yourself down to the Russell Sprout Centre in Titty Ho. Russell Sprout.
Right. That's not my real name anyway. It's Bean.
Hello, Esther. Lovely to meet you. I'm Ben.
I love the way you said that. Hello, Esther.
Hello, Esther. How you doing, darling?
I'm all right,
I've gone
babe. How
into-
you doing?
Got into me Alan car now.
Today's guest is Ben Whitehead, the talented actor and voice artist best known as the voice of Wallace in the beloved Wallace and Gromit films. Ben is a leading figure in the world of voice acting, having taken over the iconic role from Peter Sallis, with whom he worked closely before stepping into Wallace's well-loved shoes. His work continues to bring joy to audiences around the world through the timeless charm and humour of Aardman's creations. We talked to Ben about his journey into voice acting, working alongside Peter Sallis, the animation process, and why it's so important to take opportunities when they arise. He also shares thoughtful advice for aspiring voice actors and reflects on the unforgettable experience of attending the Oscars. Welcome to the show, Ben Whitehead.
Ben and I were tour guides at BBC Television Centre, which was once the epicentre of television broadcasting in the UK. And we used to take various groups around. But I don't think I didn't realise what a good impressionist you are at that time.
What can I say? I don't. It's not something I get out. I didn't realise I was.
Really?
It was the dying days of the BBC, wasn't it? That's the thing. Of television.
Not of the
Centre.
BBC.
Of Television Centre. No, there's another 100 years in the BBC. We all know that. Of Television Centre. It was a really interesting time to be there as it sort of slowly shut down. You know?
Yes. It was weird, wasn't it?
This studio was once full, but occasionally you'd see the odd famous man talking about the foreign language students, and Bruce Forsyth had come out and start giving it there, and nice to see you, and there'd be a group of Danish kids who had absolutely no idea who he was. So he was just
Not
there
a clue.
with his hands, going higher. No,
He looked very disappointed. Who was the best person you ever spotted? Do you think?
Jack Black, without a doubt. Again, I had a group of they certainly knew who he was, and he just turned up and he thought we were some kind of welcoming committee. And I just said, I was like, I think there's another guy talking. And I went, oh, it's Jack Black. And he just just looked at us. And it was a group of French students, and they just started shouting out the names of his films. And he's just there, sort of slightly bemused, going, is this a welcoming committee? Because he was going on Blue Peter, wasn't he? He was like, he was going he was going on Blue Peter. Yeah, Jack Black was on Blue Peter. And he thought this group was like, oh, this is my welcome. But it's just
It must be very discombobulating when someone just shouts your films at you. School of Rock!
Yeah,
Holiday!
I don't think you'd be expecting it when you turn up for work, would you? This sort of group of people, like tourists, going, "Oh, look at this interesting artifact! It's Jack Black." I think my favourite person I spotted was probably Alan Titchmarsh.
Oh, she's got a thing for Alan Titchmarsh.
Have you?
She said he was
Well, I didn't
strangely
before.
sexual.
I didn't before, but we were in the reception area, the stage door bit, and across the way there was Alan Titchmarsh over the sea of heads of people I was addressing about facts about the BBC that I can't recall now, and he did have a little twinkle in his eye, and I thought, ooh, there's something there with Alan.
Is he like emerged with like a halo above his head, like a light shining on him?
It was like the guy out of Grease, Teen Angel. Yeah,
he did get into the steamy novels, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he sort of wrote the sort of what they call bodice rippers kind of novels. Yeah,
for a bit. Straight down the library.
Was there always a filthy gardener? Yeah.
Straight out of Lady Chatterley. Can I do Titchbush? I don't know.
Can you?
Can you?
Oh, be careful! I might get carried away.
It's going to turn into Alan Bennett if I try and do Titchbush, I think, isn't it? But he's sort of somewhere between the two. That's Alan Bennett, isn't it?
Yeah. That's Alan Bennett, but that's brilliant. When you were a child, did you do accents and impersonations?
This is how I basically came to do Wallace, because I was a kid and I used to do his voice as a kid. Yeah, I used to do teachers mainly. I didn't do famous people. I just used to sort of do character voices. But the impersonations I do were mainly of teachers. To stop the other kids from beating me up, if you can make them laugh, they won't. I'm only joking.
Were you all nice and tall though? Were you tall? Were you a tall child?
No. I was quite a portly child.
So were you a big Wallace and Gromit fan at the time then?
I was huge. Yeah, it was watching the Grand Day Out, and I think I just sort of remember going into school next day and said, "Did anyone see that cartoon on the TV last night? It was brilliant. This guy and his dog go to the moon and it's made of cheese." Yeah, that would have been probably right, whatever it was on the TV for the first time, 1990, when the Creature Comforts and things like that started to come out. Yeah,
I've got a mouth.
And you've got an Aardman mouth.
I have. They actually based them on me.
Gwendolyn.
Oh, and did you? Because obviously I was thinking about Peter Sallis, and he was so familiar to all of us from Last of the Summer Wine, obviously, which was, I mean, that ran for years. Was it the longest running sitcom ever or something?
It is. It's in the world. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And it was an absolute staple, wasn't it? Every week.
It was.
And had you done his voice before Wallace and Gromit?
I'd never done any impersonations as far as my professional work is concerned. No, never used it. Never really thought to. And as far as this job is concerned, it's wasn't about doing the voice match in the end. And I think that's what we found out halfway through making this feature film. Not halfway through, but towards the start, when my directors had sort of said to me, just you've got it. Don't worry about the voice match. Just concentrate on the acting and the character and finding stuff, improvising, playing, and ad-libbing. Which I don't think any of that got used in the film, so it wasn't very good. But yes, it was a good sort of release and a good sort of think about character evolution. But I mean, I don't know. I know at some point, having been doing this as a sort of understudy, they sort of, Merlin Crossingham, who's my director, who I've been working with extensively, really, since 2010, 2011, had said to me back then, he said, we're just to let you know, we're going to start seeing other people. So we don't want to be, going behind your back, but we're going to see other people for the role. And I thought, oh, well, that's fair enough. That was fun while it lasted. But it was always going to happen. And they certainly came back and said, well, we kind of like the way you do it. You act and you find your own sort of character, and maybe that it's easier to work with than an actual impression. So
yeah, because if you're concentrating so hard on making the voice right, and I know this from doing accents on for radio dramas and things. Yeah. If I'm struggling with the accent, my acting goes out the window. There's just nothing else there.
And it still happens. It still happens to me. You do it and you go, oh no, there's no way this is a good performance. I'm just doing this. But fine, if a character voice is all that's required, and for comedy, I think you kind
get
of
away
a
with
little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more if you're just going to go for a quick laugh or whatever. But
yeah.
So how did your journey with Wallace and Gromit begin? When did you start working with them?
So this is a story, and I'm really happy to tell it, because it's a good sort of, I don't know, what's the word? I mean, it's just an interesting story for any actor to hear, really. I'd given up acting. I'd given up on acting, and I'd got into teacher training. And I gave up on that as well. I think it was one of those things where you think, I've got to do something. You know, I need that security, and I need that. And teaching is, you know, it's a sort of it's a bit more than that, especially if you're going to school. And I think I had a lot of people on the course telling me, "Yeah, be an actor," as in, don't be a teacher. You know, this is not for you, my friend. I quite like teaching, but yeah, being back in school, I struggled with. I think it's fair to say. But yeah, I was at a sort of low ebb down there in the West Country, and my dear friend Nonnie Lewis, who's a voice actor and playwright now herself, just phoned me up saying, I'm working with Aardman. We're just doing readings for the Curse of the Were-Rabbit to audition the other actors, and the male actor is not available. No longer available. Can you get down to Bristol in 2 hours, basically, and just have a meeting with the director, Steve Box, and take it from there? So I went down there. I was out the door, like, you know, before I'd even hung up. And I met with Steve, and he just said, "Oh, could you just read a few lines?" Because the casting was the next day down in London. And I read a few lines, and I think it was just to test that if I, you know, was okay, basically, if I could read. And I said, "Oh, by the way, I can kind of do a voice. I can kind of do the voice of Wallace if you need me to read in for Peter when he's not there. You know, was it helpful?" And it was just like, "Yeah, sure, give it a go. No pressure." And so I did that. Basically, what I'm saying is I'd never auditioned for this role. I never auditioned for it. I auditioned as a reading actor who just happened to be able to do the voice.
And did your friend know that you could do the voice when she rang you?
Did not. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not. I don't think so. I think she's just like, no. They just need a reading actor.
Isn't that amazing? Because that's something you were doing as a child, and you loved Wallace and Gromit. I mean, it was obviously meant to be. I totally believe that you were meant to be doing this.
Yeah, there's a thing of, you know, planetary alignment going on or whatever, and you could say you're at the right place, right time, but yeah, you've also got to be ready. I was listening to another actor talking about this the other day, and he said you've got to be ready. It's not just a case of like, oh, you know, it's luck was there. You've got to be available, obviously, which is usually one of the worst things about acting is when you get employed and then another job comes up that you can't do. But yeah, at least you're employed. Yes, the being ready and being able to do it and being in the right frame of mind. And a couple of weeks before, I might not have been in the right frame of mind. I might have been like, oh God, you know, this is.
I can't be bothered to do that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. Imagine like, what, a feature film with my favorite animation company?
Well, yeah, probably. But I suppose having the confidence to say, actually, I can do a passable, you know, impression of Peter. That's where that frame of mind comes in, because you had the confidence to say that and go for it.
Yeah, because I didn't have anything to lose, I suppose. You know, I wasn't auditioning for that role. It wasn't like Voice Match wanted. It was like you just need a male voice to cover for either of the other two male voices in the film. To read in, and then I think it was a case of, well, we'll use you as a reading actor while we're recording the film. So then I worked on the film itself, standing in for Peter Sallis and standing in for Ralph Fiennes with Peter Sallis when they never got them in the same room at the same time. So yeah,
something as well, I think, about the fact that you were so unprepared for the audition, and you'll sort of go now and you get there.
Exactly.
You don't overthink it. So you just go, oh, by the way, I can do this. But if you'd have had 2 weeks, you'd have gone, I could say this or I might not say this. And then it almost goes wrong. But the spontaneity of it really helps, I think.
That's how I work, and I think I suspect quite a lot of actors work the same way. And it's not even in acting, just in life. It's like, if you just don't think, just do it. It really helps. It really helps me to sort of just not consider it, not overthink it, and just go, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're not gonna. So what if you don't get it right? It's like, well, you know, hey, I wasn't given enough time. You can always use that as an excuse. But yeah.
So you did actually work with Peter Sallis.
Yeah. I worked with Peter on that project, reading in for Ralph Fiennes. Yeah.
Very cool.
When he wasn't there. It wasn't a case of, because people have asked, oh, did he sort of train you or anything like that? And it was, no, we weren't sort of, you know, saying, hey, I'm going to be, you know, standing in for you for the jobs you can't do. But that was the case quite early on for the computer games, so I was kind of his understudy there. You know, and I remember hearing him say, "God, you don't want to get one of these computer games; they're a right nightmare." And honestly, the amount of lines for those voice projects is probably the most intensive recording job I've ever done over a course of a few days. So it was like, yeah, I can kind of understand. But yeah, I was younger back then. It's full of energy.
There'll be somebody doing an impression of Ben Whitehead doing an impression of Peter Sallis in about 40 years.
Honestly, well, that's the thing about this. You spend a long time going, oh, you know, I'd love to keep this job. I'd love to keep this job. Of course, I still think like that, by the way. But also, it's, you know, it comes to the thing of going, no, someone else might do this. You know, this character has got longevity, and another animator might take it over. I mean, Merlin had been sort of working on Wallace and Gromit Pictures World. Nick Park was on a sabbatical, so he, you know, it's possible that this character could go on in another 30 or 40 years' time. By which time, you know, I don't know. I don't think I'll be doing it. You never know.
Come on.
But
I know my son would like to do it.
Well,
he's a massive Wallace and Gromit fan.
Well, that's, you know what, that's been such a great thing to get out of the reception of this film, which you never know how it's going to go. Even though, you know, when I read the script, I thought this is one of the funniest ones. This is brilliant. This is so funny. Good. But it doesn't mean that necessarily everyone's going to go for it in the way that they are. But there's such beloved characters, and the film was so good. But it's the fact that everyone, people I know, their children love it. Yeah. And there's a lot of freshness to this story. I think that it's that, you know, you've gone there, you make sure that there's a younger audience for this, that you know.
Well, it was the only thing. Is the only thing I watched the only thing we watched on Christmas Day, me and my 10-year-old and my 6-year-old. Yeah. And then after that, we then went back and watched all the others. And it is quite funny watching. Which is the first one?
Grand Day Out.
The moon. Grand Day Out. Yeah, going from you know, Vengeance Most Foul to it's quite a contrast in terms of the animation.
It's Nick on his own, basically, isn't it? Just doing it at the film school in his spare time. That's
but the humour is still, and the essence of those characters. I'd love to know how long, because I actually watched a video of you the other day talking about the process of making the film, but I wasn't sure how long and I know that you do the voices first and then they animate, which I thought was really interesting. And so how long was that process? I mean, it must have taken a long time to make this film.
Me recording or them animating?
Well, the whole thing, I suppose. When did you record?
Inception. So it's pretty much a 6-year thing for an Aardman animated feature film, stop motion feature film. It's pretty much 6 years from getting that first script together to completion. And it's, for me, it was over 2 years. So it was like 25 or so recording sessions of 4 hours over 2 years. Animation wise, it's about a year and a half, I think. Yeah, it's pretty much a year and a half worth of animating, and that's with, you know, anything up to 30 to, I think 35, I think was maybe the maximum. They got 35 units in the studio at once, so 35 different setups in the studio at once to get at full pelt about a minute a week. I think they can do if they're at full steam. So yeah, that's the process for something like this.
It's amazing. I mean, I have not got the patience.
Well, you
to
believe
be an animator, you'd have to be very
honestly, the preparation is 5 times more labor intensive than the actual animating. That's the thing that I learned on that day when we did the recording, and I went down and I looked at the set like an excited child. The first thing they say is, right, this is the board, you know, this, and it's all sort of strings and bits of paper, which is great. And they said, so, you know, this is basically before we actually even start turning the camera, this is what we've got to do. And I said, how long does that take? About 4 times as long as the actual animation. So yeah, they're just making sure everything's in the right place and everyone's where they should be, so that when it does come to animating, you can get on with it. I mean, because you've got a lot of camera units filming at once, so it's such an eye opener. I mean, that was the thing for me. It was. Never mind about the patience of stop motion. It's the preparation beforehand as well.
Yeah. And this is, all our guests have been very special, obviously, but this is the first time we've had a bona fide Hollywood superstar on the show.
Who's that?
Because
Who's that?
It's you, Ben. You've just been at the Oscars.
I have been in Hollywood. Yes, I have.
When I say it, I get so excited. I get like really giddy. I know someone who was at the Oscars. Congratulations for a start.
Thank you very much. But I've got to say, I much preferred the BAFTAs.
And the BAFTAs. Did you tell us?
Because we want to. That's why.
Yeah, and actually, I rate the BAFTAs a bit more. I think.
No, no. As far as those two are concerned, being at the Oscars was a bit dreamlike, I have to say, and. It was just as far as the actual sort of ceremony was concerned. I thought there was more thought-provoking in a way. I think with the Oscars, I kind of came away from it and thinking, there was a general feeling of saying, look, we can't rest on our laurels here. It was criticised for being sort of too in the past and not coming up, but I thought there was an awful lot of sentiment of saying, look, we've still got to keep working here. We can't just rely on people coming to the movies. Just as a sort of message from the film world, let's keep working hard. Let's keep working hard. Yeah, and keep going to the movies as well. That came through. To get out the house and go to the cinema. There was a whole sort of comedy sequence they did with people kind of sitting in the cinema screen, swiping in the air, going, "How do I make it go?" Which I thought was nice. And I'm sitting there cheering and whooping and realizing, of course, I'm sitting with Netflix people who are going, "What are you cheering?" Come on, you guys can open a cinema. It's a big thing for me. Going to the cinema is a huge thing for me. So yeah, I really like that. And I think just the other sort of general, again, not for the studios, but the independent film coming out on top, and obviously with the 5 Oscars for Nora and in our category, of course, Flo winning, and it was great. No, I'm not just saying this. It was like if you've seen the pictures from Latvia of people, his reception, Ginza, the director's reception, going back to Latvia, and the adulation from the crowd, and people queuing to see the Oscar as well. And you know what it means? It means a big deal. Yeah. I've never been to Latvia. I've been to Estonia, and it's a similar size sort of Baltic state, and it's not just sort of nationalism or patriotism or anything like that. No, it's pride in being a smaller nation on a global scale and achieving what they did. So it was really good for that. I thought it's been really heartening to see it, and I'm just I'm so glad they won.
Really well done.
Really well done,
Great
Latvia.
for your country. What have you got any? Have you got any goss from either ceremony?
Absolutely none. The gossip.
Did you see anybody of Did you get up close and personal with anyone?
So with that, well, I met all the other directors from the animation, apart from Chris, the director of Wild Robot, nowhere to be seen. But I met Kelsey from Inside Out 2, and obviously the Flow team as well, and Adam Elliott directed Memoir of a Snail. I met him. He was lovely.
Oh, brilliant.
And
That's
as I'm saying, I'm with Lauren. I'm not the only. It's not just me being the only actor. So Lauren Patel, who's in the film, was with me as well. She was the one who was like, "I'm going to the Oscars," She did it as well. Her agent did it. So and then that was kind of like, Merlin had said to me at the back, he said, "You coming then? Because Lauren's going." I was like, "You better believe it." I didn't know I was. Lauren just looked at me. We're at the ball afterwards, and she said, Willem Dafoe's behind you. And I sort of looked, I said,
God.
oh my God, it's Willem Dafoe. And I was like, I'm such a big fan. She's like, go and say hello, go and say hello. And Merlin says, take the Wallace, then he had a little Wallace puppet there. And he said, take Wallace and go and say hello. So I'm there clutching this Wallace. And I'm like, Mr. Dafoe? And he's quite a good deal shorter than me. Mr. Dafoe? I was like, I'm a big fan of your work and I love your voice. He's like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, what do you got there? And it's like, I'm holding up this thing going, I'm the voice of this
Who's
guy.
this weirdo?
and and I was just immediately like, oh God, guys, help me, and introduced him to Laurel and Merlin, and then whoever was with him, she's sort of like, I think we need to go now. Well, get him away from this
There's a guy
strange, weird, lanky English guy who's that. So we were like, okay, cool. Who else are we gonna? That was. I gotta say, that was it. As far as famous people introducing, it wasn't like I saw many other people either. And then I realized, well, that's because it's us. We're the famous people.
Absolutely,
it's Aardman. Everyone's coming to us. So yeah, we were the guys at the ball.
Yeah. It's so mad though to think of that little boy doing Wallace impersonations and being captivated by Wallace, and then years later you get to be him, and then you're at the Oscars, and you're winning BAFTAs as him. You know, it's mad, isn't it? It's such a serendipitous thing. It's glorious.
Again, like we were talking about earlier on about maybe don't think about it too much and just get on with it. Yeah. That's how this whole process has gone. I think at some point in the film, you know, especially the beginning of it, recording, I did go, oh my God, this is terrifying all of a sudden. People might hate me, you know. It's like, oh, what will people think of me? And it's like, what? It just cuts to that point going, Ben, what are you doing? You're working with the best people in animation. They're amazing. Why are you so self-conscious? You know, get over yourself and just get on with the job, you know? So, I think that was the only time. And apart from that, you just kind of just go, okay, think about it later. Think about it later.
Yeah,
afterwards.
absolutely. Because the thing is, it's such a national institution, isn't it? And I think there's something comforting about Wallace and Gromit. I mean, when my husband and I've been together since we were 18, but when I met him, he'd got Wallace and Gromit figures that he'd had from, you know, crisp packets that he'd saved up, and then he'd got a clock. And then my son, my son's 16 now, but when he was little, he had the clock on his wall and was obsessed with Wallace and Gromit and would watch it over and over. And now he wants to go into games design and animation, and that's what he's studying. And he's still, I mean, it blew his mind when I said we were interviewing you today, but it sparks so much imagination for so many people. So I can understand that weight of responsibility that you might have felt. And it was appointment television on Christmas Day, wasn't it? That and Gavin and Stacey. We want that sort of comfort and that's something that we know and we
connection
and feel safe.
to childhood as well, isn't it? That can,
Yeah. Again,
feel safe.
These are the things that if I'd thought about them.
There'll
be 9 million people watching you on Christmas Day, man. Just good luck. Go.
And you were brilliant, I have to say. I was like, I noticed. And I was like, no. And it was such a brilliant, brilliant film. It was wonderful.
Well, thank you. And as far as that is concerned as well, it was like people say, I just forgot about it after a while, you know, like first minutes, and I didn't even think about it. And it was just completely, and I said, that's kind of how I felt recording it and watching it. I'm watching it going, oh yeah, it's not Peter Sallis. It's me. But yeah, it was after a while, and that's the thing. The movie takes over, the story takes over, the animation and the hard work, you know, amazing attention to detail all takes over, and you're swept up in that world.
And it's not Peter Sallis or Ben Whitehead. It's Wallace.
It's Wallace.
I mean,
He's a character.
Immediately, it was Wallace. And that's what's brilliant. But I was going to say, I mean, we're talking as if this is the only thing you've ever done. And of course, it isn't, because you're a very experienced actor, voice artist, and you had your own business. And what?
Tour guide.
Tour guide, as am I. Hello, we're available. I want to talk about all the other things you've done, including my favourite, the Ghost Bus.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is a remarkable thing, which I experienced myself. And I'd like to talk about that.
Well, I had a lot of fun on that Ghost Bus. I think one of the things that I've always thought, even as a student, is that I haven't got maybe that competitive nature that you need to be, or even that self-belief to think that I'm going to get this job that, you know, that's out there in the industry. And there is also a thing of like, I'd like to bring something to the party myself. So I have a little bit of a, creative spark that every now and again spews something out into the world. And having been a tour guide and worked at the London Dungeon for on and off for quite a bit, which was great fun, by the way, despite it being pretty horrible working conditions. But you're with a great, we were a great group of people. And I was there when you could kind of make it up and do whatever you wanted. I worked on a bus, just the sort of open top bus for one summer, beautiful hot summer as well. And I was so laid back on it. It was so much fun. And I thought, what if we combined the two here and had a bus that kind of had like a theatrical horror ghost bent on it. I didn't just want to go around saying, oh, and there's a ghost story about this place and a ghost story about that place. I wanted the story to be about the bus itself. And that's what it became. Yeah, this sort of old funeral bus that turned out to be haunted, and it was a two-hander. Another actor got on board, so you had this kind of like funeral service guy who's working for the London Necro Bus Company, and they're forced to do tours now because they're running out of money. And then another actor gets on mysteriously, and it was so much fun, and we put a lot of work into it. And then my partner at the time, business partner, who was, what do you call it? What's the word? It was like a hostile takeover, basically. And it was like really? A kind of like, oh, I'll make you an offer on your half of the business. And I went, goodbye. Buy me out. I'll see you later. I can't, done. I'm
off to the Oscars, baby.
Well, yeah,
I don't need this Ghostbusters no more.
But yeah, it was one of those situations, and I think I work much better when I'm concentrating on something, focus on one thing. And that was one of those situations where I said, okay, all these other things apart from work with Aardman, we'll have to put aside so you can focus on this and make it good.
It was really good.
Well, thank you. And I just sort of started to get into stand-up comedy, and I think the character comedy, and I just got my first paid gig, and I thought, oh, I could maybe continue with this. And it's like you can't. You're going to have to focus on the other thing, and it kind of gave me that fulfillment
Did you always
get
want
from
to be an
performing.
actor, then?
I sort of spent time thinking that I shouldn't be an actor, thinking like, but there's not any work, and I should get a proper job. This is what my mother had great advice for me. I could pass it on. This is a good one. I don't know if I've said this one before, but I said to her, because I was young, and I said I might want to be an actor when I grow up, but someone told me that it's really difficult, and you don't get the work, and there's not much work about, and maybe I should be a teacher or a doctor. That doctor, like I could be a doctor. I could be a teacher or something like that. And she said, "What do you think teachers and doctors do when they finish work? They watch actors." And it just was like, oh yeah. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be a place for you there.
We're
they're
better.
not going to turn their back on you. So what's that? Sorry, Sue.
We're better.
Never.
Win.
Never. What do I go when there's something wrong with me or my kids need an education?
The theatre, darling. The theatre. Doctor Theatre.
Just take you down.
What have been some of your other favourite roles? Go and see Scrooge.
That's what everyone else does.
What have been some of your other favourite roles that you've had? Obviously, we've focused on Wallace a lot, but what else have you done that you've really loved?
It's strange because it's another animated thing, but the one thing, because I got to work with one of my favourite theatre companies, who I count as dear friends, which is 1927, and they did a show called Golem, and where was it? The Young Vic and Trafalgar Studios in London and World Tour, sorry, in New York, and I played the titular character of the Golem, and it was an update of this sort of the old Jewish legend, the old Hebrew legend of the Prague synagogue, and this man creates this kind of creature out of clay to do his bidding, and to do his bidding. Bidding is so evil. To do it sort of as a kind of a servant, and it's a inspiration for the Frankenstein story in a way, because it doesn't go something to my table, doesn't necessarily go right. And I got to work with them, and I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I'd say that's definitely one of my favoured roles. I worked with a company called Gonzo Moose on tour. That was great fun. Down in Bristol, and we made a really nice show, and we kept getting a little bit extra out of it, even up to 2020. We were like the only people working during the great lockdown of the Christmas 2020. So we were down in Plymouth doing that.
Isn't it?
That was a lot of fun.
5 years ago, exactly, isn't it? Sort of almost.
Yeah. That was great fun. There was puppetry involved. I always love a bit of that. And, creating a big monster as well at the end, a big alien, which is perfect. Anything where there's a big monster in it, I'm definitely going to be happy.
It seems that you're a real sort of shapeshifter. Anything that means that you're escaping as far away from you as an actor seems to be what you're drawn to.
I'd say that's fair enough. What is that when you I'm not as comfortable in my own skin. I mean, I'm doing this now and I'm talking to you and it's like, I'm forgetting the fact that this is, it's just like, I'm just speaking to people. People said, do you not want to do your own podcast? And I thought, no, God, no, I couldn't, unless I was in character. Unless I did a character, I'd just be like, it's even as a tour guide, I found it like being myself. I found kind of like, why does anyone want to listen to me? And I think it's more case of, it's not that self-deprecating. It's more a case of like, I would rather pretend to be, I'd rather wear a mask and pretend to be someone or something else. And my ideal job in that same respect is something where, if it was on camera, it would be something where I was wearing an awful lot of makeup, I suppose, and clunking around like Boris Karloff or something like that,
God, I think you were going to say Johnson then. Clunking around like Boris Johnson.
No, that's the next role.
There's no call for him anymore, is there?
Sorry, no.
I
can
kind of do him as well. I don't know. Is that kind of voice? He's obsolete now, isn't he? He has no legacy.
COVID, I think
he's in the bin.
To my brain.
Now we haven't got very long left with you. Now we had some questions come in, so we're going to do quick fire.
You've got time. That's fine. Yeah.
Lucy asked if he could be a cheese. What cheese would he be? So that's not predictable, is it?
Today I'm going to go. I don't know why the first thing that comes into my head is Swiss cheese. Why? Why would I be this holy cheese?
Oh.
Why would I be Swiss cheese? I don't know. I'd be a Swiss cheese. I think just because it is interesting, because you can poke your fingers into it. What am I saying?
I don't know. But I mean,
Lucy, I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it's kind of Freudian. I think if we have more time, we need to explore that.
You've definitely gone into something there, haven't you?
Oh, I've got another one related. What sort of dog would you be?
The first one that came in, it was like a quick one, like a lurcher or something like that, but maybe just one of those old dogs that doesn't give a damn, I love old dogs, when you see them and just like, stroke me, pat me, I don't care, or whatever. And they look really cool, I think. What breed? Like something kind of terrier-like, but big, maybe, like sort of shaggy dog.
Yeah, so we've got Swiss cheese, we've got a big terrier.
What kind of dog would I be? I'd be a cat. That's what I'd be.
Would you?
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe. Cat
Definitely
vibe.
Be a cat.
Esther, do you want to go for one?
Yes, John Late said, what top 3 essential actions would you advise an emerging actor to take if they wanted to add voice acting to their skill set?
Listen. Yeah, no, that's it. I'd say listen to other people, listen to other voice actors for sure. And then record yourself, just record yourself. Buy a microphone, buy something half decent. Maybe you can get like what they call a travel mic, plug straight into your phone or your computer. You can get a decent lapel mic. Get something that's not just talking into the mic on your machine, so you can record yourself and listen to yourself. And before that stage, there's a bit in the middle is, what are you going to talk about? So find something that you're passionate about. Find something that interests you, that you really want to talk about. Or something funny that you can add that characterization to. If it's just, start with your voice maybe and see where that goes. Says the man who doesn't like hearing his own voice or whatever. It's to be a character the whole time. But as a way in, and or something that you could add a character to. Whatever it is, and it could be pre-existing text. You could write something and then play it to people, see what they think. You know, just say, can I just listen to this before you start going out into the industry and saying to people, hey, can I have a job, please, because I want to get into voice acting or whatever. Actually, just see what other people think, because everyone's got time to listen to you if you've got something interesting to say.
Yeah, great
and
advice.
see how you like it. Just go for that. Did I do any of that? No. I got straight into it.
You can tell people what to do now. Look, you've been to the Oscars.
I would say that with whatever aspect of any work you wanted to get involved in. It's sort of like, what can you say? And a lot of people at the BBC, there, Susie, they come on tours and say, I want to be a presenter. What should I do? And I'd say, well, what are you interested in? Because if you work at the BBC, especially, they hire people who are specialists in their field. David Attenborough is not a TV presenter; he's a naturalist. That's his thing. Thinking about the longest serving member there, and I guess Chris Packham the same. That's their passion. That's what they got interested in, and then they did the presenting skills. So go with something that you think you can convey. Bring to the party, whatever. Maybe.
Good
and
advice.
You've got a platform on the internet as well. You can work with other people. I think that's the other thing. Play with it. Find other people to work with as well. Even better. So you're not on your own.
It's shouting into the void. Another quick fire one from Alex and Dan. In your view, what is Wallace's best invention?
Well, I mean, I've got the first one in my head. He built a rocket that went to the moon. I don't know if he's ever really topped that.
I'd say I think he peaked too soon, maybe.
Norbot is quite good, but obviously that got infiltrated.
I like the jam thrower, the thing that throws jam onto the toast.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. I mean, the techno trousers, obviously, as far as entertainment value is concerned, they're the best there. But no, he built a rocket that went to the moon.
Yeah. Fair play.
In his shed on a bank holiday afternoon. I think that's got to be number one.
He's a pretty clever guy. And this is also from Alex. Have you ever gone into a shop and asked for cheese using your Wallace voice?
No. I do you know what? I don't. It's a good question, because lots of people, and I've got a good friend as well who doesn't know I do this. I mean, I don't see him that regularly.
I do now.
I saw him recently. He doesn't. I saw him recently. And he's like, so what have you been up to? And I thought, hey, you don't know what I've been up to. Yeah, of course he will. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll put him onto it. By the way, I was talking to someone the other day, and he said, so where have you been? And this wasn't a friend, but it was someone who I know, see quite regularly. And I said, well, I've been in Los Angeles. I said, oh, what were you doing out there? And I went, well, I went to the Oscars. Was that for work? What work? The Oscars. I went to the Oscars. And well, cool. Well, what were you doing? I was in, and it's very slowly. And I've always done this. It's like, oh, what do you do as an actor? I say, I work with Aardman Animations. And they say, oh, that's great. They make Wallace and Gromit. And I go, yeah. And then the conversation doesn't usually go any further. But yesterday it was like, well, who'd you play? And I was like, well, I do the voice of Wallace. And that's it. And these people's faces go, what? Shake your hand, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I have spent quite a lot of time, and it might come from that sort of slightly shy about things and not wanting to appear to be a show off or whatever, but also a bit of respect, I think, for the fact that it's lasting from that, the respect of the fact that I took over the role from someone else who was very, very proud and honored to have had that role, to be given that, out of respect, you kind of want to say, I don't know. And also, but it is also the, who the hell am I kind of thing, and who's this young person who's who's come up there. Yeah, a little bit. There's a little bit of modesty there, but that's got to kind of go out the window now, because I want work. So,
Ben is available and very talented.
Yeah. Ben is Wallace. Right. Ben is Wallace. Give him a job.
Two more quick questions.
Oh, I've got
very
one
quick.
as well.
One is from my son Henry, who says, "What's your real name?"
Hi, Henry. What's my real name?
It's not Wallace.
It's Ben, Henry.
It's Ben.
It's Ben. All right, sorry. So I did get recognised. I went to see the 1927 show at Christmas, and two fellow father and son came up to me and went, "Excuse me, are you Wallace?" That's the only time. And I was like, "Hiya." I said, "Hi, I'm Ben. How you doing?" And they said, "Oh my God, well, you just really enjoyed the film." And I said, do you like these guys, 1927? And they said, yeah. I said, well, I was the Golem as well. And they were like, you were the Golem. We saw that twice. But yeah, it's Ben Whitehead, Henry.
There you go, Henry. There you go. And Esther, do you want to do
you said
yours?
you got one more?
Well, I'll do that one at the end. You do this quite
Okay, so mine is from James, and it is, what is it like working with the world's best villain, Feathers McGraw?
It's working with Feathers McGraw. He was under lock and key. I never got the chance to work with him. Having Feathers in the film again was so exciting, and not being able to tell anyone while we were recording it that Feathers was coming back, because you'd say, oh, I love Wallace and Gromit. My favourite was the penguin. I love the penguin. And I'd be like, he's coming back. And then, of course, I realised that actually, it's great having Feathers back, but they'd introduced a new character to it. And I think Norbot's going to be big. I think he's going to be big. And I can't tell you what it was like working with Norbot. We didn't work together as a cast. For this one, we all recorded individually, which is the way they wanted to do it. There wasn't much interaction between myself and the other characters anyway, so it was it wasn't necessarily worth it. But yeah, being in a film with Feathers, wow,
very cool.
The number one choice for tattoo, as he is.
Is it?
Did you hear this?
No, really? I can.
What in the whole realm of tattoos?
In the UK at the moment, Feathers McGraw's like top request apparently for tattoo. Wow. So Nick and Merlin went up to unveil a new statue in Preston. They've got one of Wallace and Gromit with the wrong trousers on, and they've now got Feathers statue there controlling him. And he opened it up the other day and came out with that.
Cool. Look, I'll go and get a tattoo of you. We'll try and rectify that. And my final question is from Liz, who says, how many times does someone have to mention cheese to you before you snap and murder them?
We're not at that stage yet, I'm sure. And again, maybe this is the whole thing of going, maybe keep this low key so people don't come up to you and say cheese or anything like that.
You did it.
Say something else. Say something else quick.
Oh, you got it out of me, didn't you? It's cheese on it. The voice is like, oh, and things like that is how you get into it. So I'm a bit like, no, I can't. I'm not allowed to do the voice because I don't own the character, but I can sort of oh, and things like that, and the little bits. That's how you find it. Is you kind of go off script, and we did this recording once for a sat nav, and I wasn't allowed to do any of the wallers, all that sort of like or anything like that. There was none of that, and it was so difficult. It was so hard. Yeah, just straight, completely clean lines.
Yes, but watching you playing Wallace in this video that I saw, what I loved seeing was the physicality of it, and I don't think people realise how. I mean, obviously you're not moving too much, but you're physically having to reshape your face. And I loved watching that. And I think that's just started up at the beginning. That's how I did. I sort of saw myself, and even having a bit of voice coaching from Andrea Hazel Lewis, my voice coach. And she said, have you noticed how you can kind of see his tongue in the pub? He said, try that. Just try it a little bit. And I did once or twice and went, oh my God, it makes a difference if you actually try and, imitate the art a little bit, imitate the character a little bit. It actually makes a slight difference to it. Well,
Boris Johnson's back.
Anyone who's listening, just go onto YouTube and type in Ben Whitehead playing Wallace, because it's really fascinating watching you doing the voice of being directed, and it's fun, and you just do such a great job, and I do hope that it continues, and you get to go to the Oscars again. And we need to let you go because you've got an audition.
Well,
thank you so much.
I do.
Thank you so much. Just before you go, I just want to say your voice sounds a little bit like Chris Martin's
from Coldplay.
From Coldplay, does it?
Yeah. Yeah, every so often I think, it sounds like Chris Martin.
From Devon? Is he from Somerset? He's from down there, isn't he?
Is he from down? He is from that.
Well, my mum's from up that way, but I don't think I know. It's a strange voice or accent.
voice. You just,
Okay.
I was admiring
quite
your voice.
softly
Thing you've got a
spoken.
lovely natural speaking voice anyway. And then I thought, I can hear a bit of Chris Martin.
Do
in
you
there,
play
so-
the piano? You can make a lot of money.
I'm gonna have a go at him now. I'm gonna
Yes.
go. I'm gonna put together some kind of an impressions reel in an interesting
Yes.
way. So I'll have a go at Chris Martin. I wanted to try and get Alex Turner as well because I thought he's got a fantastic accent and voice. So yeah, we'll try and have a go. I'll have
And
a go.
actually-
Watch the space.
Yes, brilliant.
I love your podcast. I think you do a really good thing with it. I
Thank
sound like, now
you.
it sounds like Donald Trump. I think you do a really good thing. I can't, I can't do Trump. Everyone else can, but I need to work on that. But yeah, no, well done. Keep it up.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
great,
you.
and I'd love to work with you.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute joy to talk to you and an honour to talk to actual Wallace as well as actual Ben.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
You have been listening to Limited Time Only.
He was lovely.
He is.
What a
isn't he?
nice man. So lovely. And felt really privileged to have him on because Wallace and Gromit in our household is huge. And obviously across the country, it's just an institution, isn't it?
Yeah, you were right when you said that to me. It is an institution, and he does it so brilliantly, and he's so modest. And I've had the pleasure of working with him, and it's always an absolute treat. He is a lovely, lovely, very talented man. So thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
I mean, and also slightly jet lagged.
Oh, really?
Where
Where
did
did
you
he
say?
Oh,
He
yes.
just got back from the Los Angeles,
From Tutuscas. He's been to
from
Tutuscas.
Tinseltown.
Hobnobbing with Willem Dafoe.
With Willem Dafoe.
Oh, Willem. Oh, it's Wallace.
So, I mean, yeah, it has given me hope because, I don't think it probably was ever on Ben's radar that he thought he would go to the Oscars.
No.
And you think, well, just never know. Like you said, just go with flow. You never know what's going to happen.
And just seize every opportunity. I mean, I do think that is key, the fact that he didn't really have any time to prepare, because then you just don't overthink it, do you? Right, let's just do it. What am I doing? Oh, I can do the one voice of Peter Sallis as Wallace. It's quite good. It's
Yeah. It's
just chuck yourself in.
Chuck yourself in, and we should all do that. We all second guess ourselves, don't we? Oh, someone's beep. Can you hear that?
I can hear it.
We're having a right old beep.
Maybe
Calm
they're agreeing with
down.
what we're saying.
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow,
You
guys.
might be at the Oscars next year.
Yes.
Not with that attitude, they won't.
We're going to be back with LTO Brief next week, which is very exciting on Thursday.
We are, and if you haven't yet signed up for our mailing list, please do.
Yeah.
Just need to go on Instagram, check out our page. We're in the link for it's in the biog and bio. Don't know what you say, and or you can send us an email at limitedtimepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll pop you on the list, and you'll be with us forever. Well, until you want to not be with us.
So if we can let you know what's going on without bombarding you with too much information, then it's just quite helpful. And it's a nice way of connecting with you and building a bit of a community.
Yes, LTO community.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
it is a good thing.
All right then, ducks.
All right, then.
cracking cheese, Gromit.
Cracking cheese, Gromit. Right. We'll see you next week for a brief.
Brief.
Goodbye. Bye.
Can you hear yourself anymore?
I've never been able to hear myself ever.